You know, some moments hit you like a freight train, and you don't see them coming until they're right there, staring you in the face. That's what happened to Jack Harper, a guy who'd built a tech empire in the heart of Silicon Valley, only to find his world crumbling in his own living room. Picture this. Jack, in his tailored suit, steps through the front door of his Palo Alto mansion, expecting the usual quiet hum of wealth, and instead, he hears his little girl, Sophie, sobbing. "My hands hurt so bad. Please, just let me stop." That sound, that tiny, broken voice, stopped Jack dead in his tracks. Sophie, his 7-year-old, was on her knees, scrubbing the marble floor, her dress this faded little yellow thing she loved soaked and torn, her hands red and raw, blood mixing with the soapy water. And standing over her, cool as ice, was Vanessa, Jack's new wife, her arms crossed, those diamond earrings glinting like they were mocking the scene. "Keep going, Sophie," Vanessa snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You're not done until I say so." Jack's heart dropped. This wasn't just a bad day. This was something darker, something that had been hiding in his house, under his nose, while he was out chasing deals and dodging grief. Jack wasn't always this blind. A year ago, he'd been a different man, married to Claire, Sophie's mom, the kind of woman who'd light up a room just by laughing. They'd fought for years to have Sophie, through heartbreak after heartbreak, failed tests, late nights, Claire's tired smile holding them together. When Sophie finally came, she was their miracle, fragile but fierce. But then cancer hit Claire like a thief in the night, and when she passed, Jack didn't just lose his wife, he lost himself. He buried his pain in boardrooms, left Sophie with nannies, and let Vanessa, his late wife's cousin, step in to help. Big mistake. Vanessa didn't just move into the house. She moved into Jack's blind spot, and now here was Sophie, paying the price. "Vanessa, what the hell is this?" Jack's voice was low, trembling, not the polished tone he used in meetings. Vanessa spun around, her smile quick as a snake's. "Oh, Jack, honey," she spilled juice just teaching her to clean up her mess. "You know how kids are." But Sophie's eyes, wide and wet, told a different story. They weren't just scared. They were pleading, like she was begging him to see her, really see her. Jack knelt down, his $1,000 shoes scuffing the wet floor, and touched Sophie's shoulder. She flinched, and that small twitch hit him harder than any contract he'd ever lost. He saw Claire in her face, those same soft curls, and suddenly he heard Claire's voice from her hospital bed, faint but firm. "Don't let her go, Jack. Promise me." He'd broken that promise, hadn't he? Let work swallow him whole. Let Vanessa take over. Let Sophie fade into the background. But not anymore. Jack stood, his jaw tight. "Sophie, go to your room, sweetheart. I'll be up soon." Sophie hesitated, clutching the rag like it was her lifeline, then scurried off, her bare feet slapping the hardwood. Vanessa laughed, light and fake. "You're too soft on her, Jack. Kids need discipline." Jack didn't answer, just stared at her, noticing for the first time how her smile never reached her eyes. Something was way off. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He wandered into Claire's old study, a room he'd avoided for months, the air still carrying her lavender scent. On the desk, he found a letter, tucked in an envelope with his name in Claire's neat handwriting. His hands shook as he opened it. "Jack, if I'm gone, watch Sophie's eyes. They'll tell you the truth. Don't trust the wrong people." It was like Claire was there, whispering in his ear, and it gutted him. He'd trusted Vanessa because she was family, because she'd swooped in after Claire's death with casseroles and promises to keep things together. But now, those promises felt like a trap. The next morning, Jack noticed something else. Claire's pearl necklace, the one she'd worn every anniversary, was around Vanessa's neck. "Where'd you get that?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Vanessa touched the pearls, her smile too smooth. "Oh, I found it in a drawer. Thought it deserved to be worn." Jack's gut twisted. Those pearls weren't hers to wear, and Sophie's bruised wrists. Her trembling hands, they weren't accidents. He called Tom Reed, an old college buddy turned lawyer, and laid it all out. "I need you to look into something," Jack said, his voice low. "And I need it fast." Tom didn't sugarcoat it. "Jack, if what you're saying is true, we need evidence. Get me something solid, audio, video, anything." Jack didn't know how to do that without tipping Vanessa off, but he wasn't waiting around. He drove to Sophie's school, picked her up early, and took her to a diner, just the two of them. No Vanessa, no mansion. "Over milkshakes?" he asked. "Sophie, honey, what's been going on at home?" She stared at her straw, twisting it. "She says if I tell you anything, she'll throw Mom's urn in the trash." Jack's blood ran cold. That urn was all Sophie had left of Claire, and Vanessa was using it like a weapon. That was the moment Jack knew he wasn't just fighting for Sophie, he was fighting for Claire's memory, for the family he'd let slip away. He bought a small recording device, the kind you'd barely notice, and hid it in the living room, tucked behind a photo frame. Then he waited. It didn't take long. The next day, while Jack was at a meeting really parked a block away, listening live through an app, Vanessa's voice came through, cold and sharp. "Scrub harder, Sophie, or I swear, your mom's ashes are going in the dumpster." Sophie's muffled sob followed, and Jack gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles went white. He wanted to storm in, but Tom's warning rang in his head. "Don't confront her yet. Let the law handle it." Jack called Tom, who looped in Sheriff Laura Bennett, a no-nonsense woman who'd seen her share of family messes. By noon, Laura had a judge sign an emergency protection order. That evening, as Vanessa poured herself a glass of wine, smirking like she owned the place, Laura and two deputies knocked on the door. "Vanessa Harper, you're under investigation for child abuse," Laura said, her voice steady but firm. Vanessa's glass slipped, shattering on the floor. "This is ridiculous. Jack, tell them." But Jack just held Sophie close, her face buried in his chest. "You're done, Vanessa," he said, not loud, but final. "You don't touch my daughter again." The deputies cuffed Vanessa, who screamed about lawyers and misunderstandings, but the audio didn't lie. And then there was Ethan, Jack's younger brother, who'd been sniffing around lately, dropping hints about helping with the business. Jack hadn't thought much of it until Tom dug into the company records and found Ethan's name on a shady transfer proposal, one that would have handed him and Vanessa control of Jack's assets if Jack signed it. Ethan showed up that night, all charm and fake concern, but when he saw the deputies, his smile dropped like a mask. "You're in on this too, Ethan," Jack said, his voice cold. "You thought you could play me and hurt my kid." Ethan stammered, but Laura cut him off. "You're coming with us, Mr. Harper. Conspiracy to commit fraud's a nasty charge." With Vanessa and Ethan gone, the house felt different, quieter, but not empty. Jack sat with Sophie on the couch, her small hand in his, and promised, "No one's gonna hurt you again, kiddo. I'm here." She didn't say much, just leaned against him, and that was enough. Over the next few weeks, Jack threw himself into being a dad, not the absent one he'd been, but the one Sophie deserved. He took her to therapy with Dr. Rachel Cohen, a kind woman who taught Sophie to name her fears, to breathe through them. Rachel gave Sophie a journal, and every night, they'd draw together, yellow for safety, gray for fear. Slowly, the yellow pages outnumbered the gray. Jack also got to know their neighbor, Mrs. Evelyn Gray, a retired music teacher who'd known Claire. One day, Evelyn brought over an old keyboard. "Claire used to play for Sophie," she said, her eyes soft. "Maybe it's time to try again." Sophie hesitated, but one afternoon, she sat at the keyboard, her fingers clumsy at first, then finding a simple melody Claire had taught her. Jack watched, his throat tight, and when Sophie looked up, smiling, he felt something shift, like the house was finally a home again. A year later, Sophie stood on a school stage, her hands steady on the keys, playing Claire's favorite song. Jack sat in the front row, clapping louder than anyone, his eyes wet but proud. Sophie wasn't just surviving, she was shining. Vanessa and Ethan? They faced their day in court. Vanessa got 3 years for child abuse. Ethan 2 for fraud. Jack didn't care about the headlines. He cared about Sophie's smile, about the way she'd started leaving her bedroom door open at night, no longer afraid of the dark. But here's the thing, and I want you to chew on this, not every story wraps up so neat. Jack and Sophie found their way. But what about the kids who don't have a dad to step up, or a sheriff to knock on the door? I keep thinking about Ethan's last words to Jack. You'll regret this. Was he just bitter, or was there something else brewing? Maybe he's out there, biding his time, or maybe it's just the kind of threat people throw when they've lost. What do you think? Can a family like Jack and Sophie ever really be safe, or is the past always lurking? And have you ever seen someone stand up for a kid like that? Someone who refused to look away? Drop it in the comments, your stories, your thoughts. What hit you hardest about this one? Share this video if it made you feel something, because maybe it'll reach someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because we've got more stories like this, raw, real, and worth telling.